As promised, let's return to Capitol Hill because over the last hour or so, Sam Altman, the CEO and co-founder of OpenAI, has been giving evidence before a congressional committee in Washington. OpenAI is the company, of course, behind the artificial intelligence tool ChatGPT that has the potential to revolutionize how people work, shop and interact. Well, he's being questioned by US lawmakers about both the huge benefits the technology could bring, also the threat that artificial intelligence could pose for humanity, plus the safeguards that will actually be needed. Back in March, Elon Musk, you may remember, and other tech leaders published an open letter calling for the development of AI systems to be paused. Well, as he began giving evidence to this Senate panel, Sam Altman said government intervention was needed to keep the industry safe.
OpenAI was founded on the belief that artificial intelligence has the potential to improve nearly every aspect of our lives, but also that it creates serious risks we have to work together to manage. We're here because people love this technology. We think it can be a printing press moment. We have to work together to make it so. OpenAI is an unusual company, and we set it up that way because AI is an unusual technology. We are governed by a nonprofit, and our activities are driven by our mission and our charter, which commit us to working to ensure that the broad distribution of the benefits of AI and to maximizing the safety of AI systems. We are working to build tools that one day can help us make new discoveries and address some of humanity's biggest challenges, like climate change and curing cancer. Our current systems aren't yet capable of doing these things, but it has been immensely gratifying to watch many people around the world get so much value from what these systems can already do today.
Well, it's been fascinating listening for the last hour or so, but after that, Sam Altman went on to explain the worst potential consequences of AI. Have a listen.
I think jobs and employment and what we're all going to do with our time really matters. I agree that when we get to very powerful systems, the landscape will change. I think I'm just more optimistic that we are incredibly creative and we find new things to do with better tools, and that will keep happening. My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think that could happen in a lot of different ways. It's why we started the company. It's a big part of why I'm here today and why we've been here in the past and we've been able to spend some time with you. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong. And we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening. But we try to be very clear-eyed about what the downside case is and the work that we have to do to mitigate that.
Well, a really clear answer there. Let me take you back live to proceedings because that session, we're only about an hour and 10 minutes into it. It's absolutely fascinating. Let's just dip in, put the microphones up once again.
For that, and you're protecting that individual's right to privacy and their right to secure that data and that created work.
So a few thoughts about this. Number one, we think that people should be able to say, I don't want my personal data trained on. I think that's
right. That gets to a national privacy law, which many of us here on the dais are working toward getting something that we can use.
Yeah, I think strong privacy.
My time's expired. Let me yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Senator Blackburn. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we're keeping an eye on this and the various questions, but as we do, let's bring in our technology reporter, Shona McCallum, who we spoke to an hour or so ago, but it's been fascinating the last hour or so of testimony with some really frank accounts and answers there from those tech bosses. But interesting that the whole session started with Congress, with lawmakers being really open. They missed the boat when it came to social media and the controls. They don't want to repeat it with this, do they?
No, absolutely not. And that's something that Sam Altman has been really clear about. You know, he says we want to work with governments so that we avoid the same situations, because we know with social media, you know, 10 years ago that was coming out of the blocks, if you like, and then now we're grappling to try and, you know, regulate social media and see if we can undo some of the harms that have already been caused. So with AI, they want to take a different approach. If you think about AI at the moment, it's really in the embryonic stages as to where this technology might go. He was talking about, solving climate change, curing cancer. Those are huge claims, and we're really at the very beginning of, ChatGPT, which came onto the market in November and has acted as a very advanced chatbot, but it's nowhere near the likes of curing cancer. And I think what was interesting when we heard from some of the senators really there at the beginning of this session, one of the senators had their voice, which was generated by artificial intelligence and that had been written by ChatGPT. And he said, look, I didn't open my mouth there at all. And yet this technology was able to mimic him. And he said, look, that was kind of similar to some of the dangers and concerns that were raised. You can mimic, you can impersonate someone. How do we mitigate against that type of technology being used in a more sinister way? There was also the concerns around, how do we protect children from this technology? Can it, give teenagers advice about how to self-harm, for example, or lie to their parents? There were a lot of real questions affecting households up and down the country. We've done loads of stories about how ChatGPT has infiltrated education and how, medical services are now using it. This is a real question for a lot of industries, and it's interesting that the senators are now putting those questions towards Sam Altman, who is being very frank. We discussed before what his personality is like. He's someone that is willing to say, look, there are problems, I want to address them. He's been very calm, very measured. He's answered something. He's not had a grilling, I don't think. I think they've been treating him with quite a lot of grace so far, but he's had sensible questions and he's been giving sensible answers.
I mean, the list of concerns was extremely long. You've touched on some of them, but disinformation, jobs, elections, all of that. But in terms of solutions, we heard them say there were solutions. What do they think they are?
Well, to be honest, I think it's coming down to the crux of this question, which is regulation. We've seen, for example, Italy last month ban ChatGPT over the concerns about it. We've seen lots of governments, discuss how they're